When you look at a person without any memory of them, that's the only time you have actually looked at the person and not through the filters of their memory. Memory is a very useful thing when you have to remember about a person, but the memories are always there. You don't have to look at anything through the filters of the memory. That's the only time when your view is actually fresh. That's the only time when you are actually looking at a person freshly without the burden of memories, without the images that you built about that person, without all the beliefs, all the stigmas, all the conflicts, all the problems, without all the contents of the mind, of the mind that you have known, of that has been built in you. This is the only time you can actually look at a person freshly, and this is how you can be completely in the present with anybody, and that includes yourself. This can be applied to anything else also. When you're looking at anything of the nature, a tree, a bird, an animal, rain, thunder, lightning, even you're listening or anything that you do with your senses comes completely in the present when you're looking it at fresh. But when the filters of the mind are already there, that takes away all the beauty of the present moment. In reality, this moment is all there is. And to understand this, it'll take a long time for a lot of people. But this moment is all there is. The past has been built by the mind so that it can remember information, and that's the skill of the mind, that's the quality of the mind that it has developed over time. It's the brain's quality so that it could survive in harsh environments. And over time, we have been able to utilize that particular quality of the brain, and we have come so far as a human race. But what has happened is we have been living in those memories, we have been living in that past, and now we're not able to be free of it because we feel as if those memories are what we are made of. But that's not the truth. The truth is that you are a free person, you're a free human being, you're a free life that is alive to experience this life freshly, always. If you look at an animal, if you look at a dog, it's not thinking, it just knows. It has information, but it's not dwelling into it. Same applies to any other living being, except humans, because over time we have identified ourselves with what we have thought, with what we have done over time. This information has helped us to evolve as a species. That's the good side of it. But the bad side of it is we have become identified with all those things that we have done with our memories. If you see, we have built on top of all the discoveries and all the inventions that were done in the past. In the past, as in at that time, it was the present. But the information has kept moving on from one generation to the other, and we as a species have had this very intellectual brain to make use of the information. But even then, it is always happening in the present moment. And this present moment is something that flows, it keeps flowing. And it's not just here that what we experience as humans, but this is the true nature of reality itself. When the present moment is an ever flowing flow of energy, it is as if it's a movement that has no movement. It has no movement from the past to the present to the future, which most people have confused themselves with. Life is a movement without a movement, it's a flow. And this is what people have gotten identified with. If This one thing can be realized by a person, that there is no past and there is no future. All of that is happening in the present itself. That becomes a huge accomplishment as a human being. And to continue living with that truth is something else. And the only way to be free of those attachment that we have with the memories is pure observation of the mind itself. You come into being, come into this existence with a mind. Nobody gives it to you. But what nobody teaches you is how to look at it. What is it? We are, we are taught so many things from childhood, but nobody ever teaches us to look at the mind itself, to live in the silence. And these things might sound just as a part of spirituality or meditation, but no, it's the basis of life itself, which other animals are living, but we human beings have not, do not. We are compulsively in the mind itself and all of its contents. We are the mind has a plethora of layers to it: achievements, success, failures, love, death, emotions, songs, music, movies, entertainment, sports. There's no dearth of being busy in the contents of the mind. And that's why a whole lot of people just do not know how to look at something without these contents, just to be free. And that's the most vital thing about being alive, to be able to look without any filters of the mind. It's only then that you're actually looking at something. If you look at your partner and you're actually not looking at your partner, you're looking at them through the filters that you have about your partner, about with all the memories that you have about your partner. That's really not looking afresh. Looking afresh is, even though you may have lived with a person for 10, 20, 30 years, and you still look at them every single moment freshly, and all those memories are there, but they do not interfere with how you look when you look at the person, because those memories do not become a hurdle when you're trying to completely be with a person, be it when they're talking or when you're just looking at them. Just being in the presence of another human being is such a beautiful thing. People don't know this. And now it has gotten to a point where we just cannot stand other people. Even our close people, we just cannot stand being around them. There's something or other that puts us off. But there is a possibility that if one person, if you make that shift in your mind of how you look at the mind, that will bring a drastic change in your whole life. And that's when you can actually look at people as they are and not what you think they are. For example, you may have a lot of memories about your parents, about how you have thought they are your entire life. And there's a huge possibility that you have never looked at them for who they are, for what they are, for how they are, for themselves, not for how you think of them. Same applies to your partner, same applies to any human being that you meet, and same applies to you also, where you have looked at yourself through the filters of all the memories that you have about yourself. That's really not looking afresh. That's looking through the filters of your own mind about yourself. Do you see how ironic that is? Where you yourself do not know how to look at yourself afresh. And that's the only time that you can actually be with yourself. Nowadays, it's when people talk about just be with yourself, they think of doing something or the other. Listen to songs, watch a movie, write, or do something or the other. That's also a part of the process, but just being with yourself is much deeper than these any activities. Being with yourself, that really means that you listen to your own thoughts and not interpret them. That you listen to the sound of your thoughts and not be attached with them. And there will come a point where, when you do all this observation deeply on a daily basis for a long time, there will come a point where you are not separate from the mind itself. You are the one generating these thoughts. You are the one feeling these emotions. This one can interpret it either superficially, that yes, I am the one who is thinking this, I am the one who is feeling this. What's new in that? What's different in what I'm trying to say here is you are the one generating all that. It's not something that's happening automatically. But when the mind has gone into the auto mode, which has been in a lot of people, you are not able to see, you're not able to perceive that you and the mind are not separate at all. If you and the mind are not separate, then you have the choice of what to think, of how to feel, not in a compulsive way, but in a very conscious way. Imagine if you become the creator of your own thoughts and not the other way around, where the thoughts are happening to you. How many people have this kind of freedom? That's why it's very essential to look freshly, to look without any interpretation, without any bias, without any memories, without any filters. Look at your own mind first. Look at the stream of thoughts that go in your mind and just observe it, just watch it, and do not be a participant of it. And over time, it will happen to you where there's a shift that happens, there's a click that happens where you'll realize that yes, I'm the one generating these thoughts, I'm the one creating each and every thought. That will bring an immense change in your life, a depth in your life that you had never thought was possible. I hope that happens to you.